Welcome once again for another great episode of the Ask Joseph Land show. I know you've been watching and I know the momentum has been growing, and I'm excited to see new people here every week. Hasn't it really been an exciting journey? Not only being a part of the show, but being part of the Insiders Club and gaining great value of the relationships with so many people that are there. So today we have another exciting episode, and I'm super, super proud of what's been happening behind the scenes and on the scenes. So today I'm going to bring one more time to the show, Joseph Land. Welcome, Joseph, to the show.
Thank you so much, Tom. And I want to say a few kind words about you, because Tom has been with me since day one of really God putting this dream on my heart to really give people what I've learned by building my two large companies and giving it to them so that they can build a company or do what they want to do to be successful in their life. And we've been received greatly, and I'm just so honored to have all of you on the call today. There'll be many more of you listening to this recording. And today we're going to be talking about some exciting things. And one of the things is I want to talk about is just goals and how you set goals and why you set goals and some of that. And I want you to remember one thing: when you're, playing professional baseball, or if you're being a CEO of a transportation company or running your company or whatever, there's a certain amount of sacrifice that goes along with that. If you want to be successful, you have to make a sacrifice. And I heard just a wonderful quote, and I used to tell my girls, who are all grown now and very successful, I used to say that if you don't sacrifice for what you want, then what you want will become the sacrifice. And it's so true. And so I want to get started today with that kind of thinking. But I'm going to invite a few people who are entrepreneurs on here who I've been talking to about building their businesses, and they're having great success. But Tom Chesser, I want to go back to Tom. Tom Chesser has been kind of quarterbacking our brand globally, and he is an amazing guy. Has his own TV program and has written a number of phenomenal articles about my past and transportation company and real estate and that kind of stuff. And Tom, I want you guys to get to know Tom Chesser, because he is a mover and a shaker and the real deal. And so, Tom, if you would put down in the chat how people could get a hold of you, I would really appreciate that. Your email address and your website, that would be great, because he really changed the dynamic of my thought process of where I wanted to go with this. And when you look at traditional business, it's brick and mortar for the most part. My success has been brick and mortar, but today there's no boundaries with the global reach we have with the internet. And I know David and Tom Henderson and Dave and some of you guys are doing that already, Shane, and so it's just amazing what we have at our fingertips due to the internet and being able to do business like we're doing today on a Zoom call. So Tom, I really would appreciate you putting that down for people to be able to contact you. Rise Up Media, just a phenomenal job, and thank you for all you've done for Jennifer and me and our businesses, and we're forever grateful to you for that. So I want to get started today. Terry up in Canada. Terry, you have a tea business, a tea bag. You make tea bags just for the user's benefit, and it's just phenomenal. I want to be humble and vulnerable with you guys. I'm in really good condition, and I train and take care of myself. But I went to the doctor not long ago and had an exam, and he said that I needed to have less cholesterol, in my blood and so forth. And so I contacted Terry, and I was telling Terry about that, and also a doctor who's usually on this call and will be probably on here later, Dr. Jeannie Grace. And Terry actually made some hot tea for me that works to remove plaque from the arteries and works to to help you with energy and all of those things. So Terry, welcome to our show today. And I would like for you just to tell folks about the proprietary way that you do your tea. And I'm just really excited to know more about that.
Well, thank you, Joseph. I really appreciate that. You had mentioned that, we talked and you said, well, can you develop a tea for cardiovascular issues? And so my partner, Carrie, and I, we went and looked at different herbs that would help that. And we came up with Joseph's tea. And the reason why we did that is because we want to help people with their health. And that's what our tea is about. And, Joseph, he did get his order, and he can't talk enough about it. And I'm really proud of that, because that's what our tea is about. It's about people. And you're on mute, Joseph.
Yeah, and tell everyone, when we started counseling a little bit about your business. See, I love business. To me, it's like playing ball. I don't care what kind of business it is. I just know that God has given me eyes that see, and I can tell you what to do with your business, and it just works. It's hard to describe, but I started giving Terry some counsel, and Terry, it's been amazing what's starting to happen with your business, isn't it?
Yes, it has been amazing. And the advice that Joseph gave us is that if there was a business that we're going to have put tea in her health food store. And she said that what she normally does is have a 70-30 split. So Joseph had mentioned about a month ago how he handled, when he was in the trucking business, a company came and said, well, these are our rates, and that's it. And Joseph basically said, well, thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I'm just starting out. I have a small company. The prices that you're offering, if I do that, I'll go out of business. So that's the same attitude I took with this new customer of ours. And, I said that we went over it, and 30%, we won't make it. We're just starting out. That's why we have an 80-20 split. And she goes, okay, just, I had to ask, but she accepted our explanation, and it was amazing. It was really cool. And that advice came from Joseph, and it's expanding our business.
That's great.
Because we're taking a stand with our business, because we know what we've got, and it's the best tea out there.
Yes, absolutely. And it's really knowing the state of your flocks. When I told that large chain store that I couldn't haul for the price they wanted me to haul for, or I'd go out of business, it was hard to do. With other people sitting around, wanting to do that. But sure enough, God brought it back to me. And when the springtime hit and they couldn't find any trucks, I was the only game in town, and they paid my rate. So you got to stand your ground in your business and know the state of your flocks. And when you do, you get blessed. And so that's what I want to encourage everybody to do is to know your business and know where you are and know how to operate in it. One of the things, a couple of things I'm excited about here. I know Tony Fight Master has a silver business that I'm excited about, silver and gold business. And Tom Armour's on the call today. And a lot of you guys heard Tom's testimony, about his business. But Tom is a very multifaceted entrepreneur and works very closely with Jennifer and me. Tom and his wife actually do. And Tom and I have raised a lot of capital for entrepreneurs and done some things together. But Tom, I'm really excited about what you're doing with David and Vince and in the NFT space. And I'd like for you to talk briefly about that, because I think that's the new frontier. And, I've never had anything that's come across my path that I have been so excited about. And I told the story, Tom, and you know this story well, of my having a chance to invest in Uber when it was a concept and turning it down. And that $10,000 investment will be worth $100 million today. And so I have taken a different track. And when I have things presented to me, I look at everything. I don't do everything, but I look at everything. And gee, Manetti, this NFT space is just like the new frontier. It's the coolest thing going. I want you to talk a little bit about that, Tom. Tom Armour is one of the smartest guys I know, and not to embarrass him, but he's a whole lot smarter than me. And I want you to hear him talk about this a little bit.
Well, thanks, Joe. And I'm like you. I've just always been interested in business, and every time I find out about something, I want to learn about it. And NFTs is something I've been looking into since last year. When I started hearing the word over and over again on a lot of calls and things that I was doing in the crypto market, and just started trying to figure out what this whole thing was, because it didn't make any sense to me. And the more I checked it out, the more I realized that, an NFT is just a way of creating something that's permanent, that can be exchanged, somebody that can't be duplicated. So it can replace a lot of things that we're doing right now. I mean, right down to every time you have to have something notarized. I mean, it's the same type of thing. It's an original signature, it's an original document. It's going to change the way everything's done. And I think Mark Cuban said it best. He said if he had to start over again right now, that he can make all of the money he's made now back in a tenth of the time that it took him to do it before, by doing it right here in NFTs, because he believes the market's that big. And most experts are saying it could be 139 billion in the next 5 years. Now, and put that in perspective, stock market 150 years, $48 trillion. Excuse me, I said billion. I meant trillion. So $139 trillion in the next 5 years. I mean, that just shows you how much of what we have now is going to go in that direction. So of course, in that 139 trillion, there's going to be some of the current companies going there, because you already saw what, one of the first movers was Facebook. Whether you love him or hate him, he's not going to let it go past him. So he's already changed Facebook's name to Meta. And the reason why he's doing that is because he's creating a metaverse where people can do it. And I always tell people, think about this: the metaverse uses NFTs. But the metaverse is just really a way of interacting with the computer. I mean, when I bought my first computer, I bought the XP, the extra fast XP computer. I think it was like $1,500, and it had four megabyte speed. It had a turbo button on it. You push the button, it would go to 8. It was ridiculously slow. But anyway, the moral of the story was only way you interface at that time was with a keyboard. And then like 2 or 3 years later, they added this thing called a mouse, where I could interface with the computer with a mouse, so I could point and click at things. And now we're going to be changing to the metaverse over the next couple of years, where you're going to walk around like you do in a mall, pick something up on a shelf, and if you like it, you can buy it. And it's going to automatically go in your shopping cart. You're going to be able to pay for it. You're going to be able to play a video game. And when you pick up those coins on the ground, those coins could be real money that you could turn around and put into something else. Because now you get to save them, because it's an NFT, it's permanent. I can play a game and earn some coins, go someplace else and use the coins. It's going to be an amazing transformation. And I think most people can see things that have happened. And it's kind of like living in a movie, because I saw the movie Ready Player One, which kind of encompasses everything we're talking about here. In other words, they kind of showed what the interface will be like, where things will be, how you can actually live in the metaverse. And I know a lot of us think that's hard to believe, but I felt the same way about phones. I fought changing to a smartphone for years. I was the flip phone guy. I like just flipping it open and talking, being able to dial somebody's number and go. I mean, I used to know everybody's number. About the only one I can remember is Joe Lance because he's got the same four numbers in his number, so it makes it easy. But I used to know everybody's phone number. Now I know nobody's number. I can't even dial my wife's phone number because I just push my wife's picture on my phone. You know, so it's kind of changed the way I remember things, and whether I fought it or not, everybody's using a smartphone today, and you need to use a smartphone. So I've decided I'm not fighting NFTs. I'm going to dump in because it really is what's going to change the world, because it's going to be a way that we can interact worldwide like we do in our own town. And that's what's kind of great about it. You're going to increase your reach. The internet made us be able to do that with just information. Now we're going to be able to do that with exchanging goods and services and dollars or any kind of monetary benefit back and forth with security. So it's kind of the next step in the evolution.
Well, that's great, Tom. Thank you for that explanation. Just as a side note, you're so right about, the smartphones and technology and everything. We just had Jennifer's stepmother, who's 90 years old, visit us for 4 days. Man, she was talking about, smartphone and using the smartphone and, walking circles around me. It was amazing. And so, people of all ages are using this technology and new technology. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens as we go forward, living our lives. Tom Henderson, how are you today?
Doing good. Enjoying this Florida weather.
That's good. I always hold you in very high regard about business things, and we've done a number of things together, but it was very important for me to see your reaction to what Tom Armour was talking about with the NFTs, and it's a new frontier, isn't it?
It's I'm into AI and robotics and all this stuff, researching and stuff into it, and a lot of the companies I'm in and out are involved in that. But the internet, metaverse, this is where things are going. We can either get drug into it, kicking and screaming or whatever, but just like Tom giving up the flip phone, it's coming. There's nothing we can do to stop it. It's coming. That's the new wave of the future. It's going to happen. And like I was saying on one of our last calls, I had travel agencies in the two super Walmarts here in Port Richey and Newport Richey. And the travel industry is changed in the last 20 years phenomenally. But I was seeing a thing on YouTube where this guy is sitting in his living room with the goggles on and the things on his hands and stuff and his legs. And he's walking around in his living room, and there's a robot in France walking around the streets of France, and he's seeing and talking to people and everything in his living room in real time through the robot in France, and walking into restaurants and stuff and seeing stuff. It's headed, the metaverse is here. It's you either embrace it or you get left behind, because the technology is going to take off whether you join onto it or not. You're either ahead of the curve or behind it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Vince Holmes, can you unmute yourself? I'd like just for everybody to hear from you. I want you to meet one of the brightest. and here's the thing. When you come on the Joseph Land Show, I'm going to have you talk about your business if you're willing. And see, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create our own economy. And if you're selling widgets, everybody needs to know about it. If you're selling gold and silver, everybody needs to know about it. If you're selling transportation, I want everybody to know about it, because here's what happens. I'll just give you a glimpse. When Terry told me he was in the tea business, Jennifer and I went offline, and when we hung up, we immediately ordered tea from his business. That's what I mean about having your own economy. When Dr. Jeannie Grace was on this call, and she deals in homeopathic medicine, and I had an issue that I wanted to see if she could address, with pain in my knee. she immediately addressed it. And, I was thankful to be able to give her that business. And so what I'm saying to you is we can create our own economy. Think about having 10,000 people involved with us on a deal like this and everybody supporting each other's business. It's really, really, really cool. But Vince Holmes, I want people to hear about you and what you do in technology. And if you don't mind unmuting yourself, this is one of the sharpest guys I know. And I've just thoroughly enjoyed learning from him about new technology and new things and NFTs and all of this stuff. And Vince, just say hello to everybody and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, everybody. I'm Vincent Holmes. I'm over here in Maryland, and we operate, actually, our technologies company is in Houston. And I spent 8 years in the Air Force, and I worked 6 years for Hewlett Packard. So I'm really, really big. I mean, everything in our household is technology. As far as our lights are automated. I mean, we really embrace technology. So everything. I mean, our car's electric. We really love technology. What we're working on now with Tom and as Tom mentioned earlier, in the NFT space, it's pretty big. The metaverse, all of that stuff. So just like I see some of you guys, you're having your business, and Mr. Land is really helping you guys with your business. One of the things in the NFT space and in the technology space is we teach that anytime your business don't have any technology in it, it has to have that technology incorporated somewhere in your business. If not, it's going backwards. And that's the thing as far as how you get found online. So that's what we do a little bit. And with Mr. Land's helping what he's doing, it's going to propel you guys even further with that experience. Nothing trumps experience. So one of the main things also in the NFT space is getting to understand it, getting to know why NFTs are NFTs, how it works, and that's what our company does, and that's what we're actually teaching on platforms that we're actually building and stuff. Being involved with Mr. Land, with Tom, with Dave, and Tim. So it's really, really big, and anything technology, that's what we do.
Thank you very much, Vince. And I'm very impressed with what you do and all the work you guys do. Another one of my really longtime friends. Now, this was a surprise today. David Bass made this happen, but this was a surprise for me to have this gentleman on, Hal Culbertson. And Hal is a dear friend from South Carolina. This guy has made millions of dollars in business, and he has honored me by being on my call today. And Hal, I know your family's been sick. They've had COVID, got COVID from a wedding. I just want you to just say hello to everybody and let people hear your voice.
Well, thank you, Joe. And it's great to reconnect with you. You and I have known each other many years. I've always respected what you did. And you were quite the old ball player down there at the University of South Carolina too, man. So you transferred those baseball skills to the business world. And hey, I mean, just imagine every one of us have got a skill set that we don't even realize we have. And I think that what you're doing, what David Bass is wanting to do, no matter where we are in life, hey, the room for self-improvement is always there. We can always be growing. And so I was fortunate I came out of Greenville, South Carolina, and lived in Florida for 50 years, love Florida, now living on Lake Lanier in Atlanta, and love that. So I think wherever we are, we want to make an impact. I've got neighbors that have been very successful, made millions, and hey, a couple of them said, "Hey, Hal, you've changed our life in the last year." So I think all of us, what we want to do is leave a legacy. We want to, hey, a guy that many of you have got. Some of you have great opinions of him, but a guy named Glenn Turner that died a couple of years ago. He always talked about attitude. You got to have a great attitude. Joe, you've always had a great attitude. And I do mean, when I say, I don't think attitude's everything, but if you got a bad one, hey, people don't want to be around you. So if you got a bad attitude, the only way you can brighten up a room is by walking out of it and leaving it. And
That's
so
right.
what I like about this call is people have got great attitudes. They're positive. And so I'll leave you with this. I believe my best years are ahead of me. I'm in my 70s. I feel great. I enjoy traveling. I'm taking the whole month, Joe, of August off and taking my wife. We're going to Greece. We're going to Italy. We're going to London, Paris. We're going to do it up right and make it like a movie. So I just want all of you to know, hey, make life like a movie and just expect the best and you'll be the best. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you so much, Al, and great to have you on today. And just really honored to have you here and know of your success. And you guys just got a little touch of it, but the man's been very successful in everything he's done. Tony Finkmaster, I want you to also put your information for your call about your silver and gold business down in the comment section. I think do you have a call this evening where you talk about that? And if you would do that for me, that would be great. I know you were talking about that several weeks ago on here, and I always want to go back and help people promote their things. So that'd be great if you do that. Any other comments today? David Bass, I hadn't heard from you. I want you to hear a real gentleman from Alabama. This is a dear friend, and man, this guy is a businessman. Great to have you on today, David.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thanks for having myself and some partners here. And say another part of Champions U, think of Champions University, maybe Champions Umbrella. We could potentially have gold. We potentially could have many things under our umbrella, but primarily we're talking about NFTs and also games. Gaming, there's 3 billion people in the world playing games. We might not ever play them, but there's 3 billion people playing them. So you got one guy that's played more sports games than anyone in the history of the world. He might come on next week and speak a few minutes. Bob Holmes, beatbob.com. He's a preacher as well and done a lot of good for a lot of teenagers. But this business is really about personal growth and development. Now, how I mentioned Glenda B. Turner. I'll age myself. Over 40 years ago, I paid $5,000 to have personal growth, development, leadership, and mentoring courses and classes. And I attended many of those. And we are so thankful and grateful to have someone like Joanne that'll be, in a sense, like a spokesperson, kind of heading up that particular area. I think if anyone were to come into our business in a few months for $5,000, it'd be worth it just to have Joanne as a password protected speaker, teacher, trainer, mentor, or a goal setting. Now, last week, he talked about being attractive. Well, I thought about that, prayed about it. I'm telling you, it changed my life. That was worth it right there. Just what you'll cover today on goals will be worth it. So we're going to have that division of our company, personal growth development, and much more, NFTs and much more, games and much more. So we're just thankful for you, Joe. And of course, Vince Holmes, you just heard from him. We have other partners, Tom Armour. We call ourselves partners. We're all in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. So thanks for having us on, Joe, and back to you.
You bet. I want to go one more place here on the board and bring on Shane. Shane Forbes. Shane is a good friend of Jennifer and mine, and I have just seen amazing growth in this lady from the day I met her. And I don't want to put any pressure ever on anybody, but she's going to be a total rock star. She is an amazing woman. We have a Yorkie teacup, and you ever see people when they see a little tiny dog that's so friendly, everybody starts smiling. Well, Shane has that effect on me. Every time I see her, I just start grinning from ear to ear because I'm just so proud of her. And so is Jennifer. And so Shane, just say hello to everybody today. And Shane's from Nantucket, but I think she's in Georgia today. So say hello. You're muted.
Hi, everyone. I have a background in being a professional performer and singer for 15, 20, depends how you look at it, long time. And I'm also a studio artist, and I've had a successful practice as a healer using quantum biofeedback. And so at this point in my life, my interest is finding a way to weave all these things together. I've got lots of amazing content from my singing days and from my art. I have very profound and robust skills in biofeedback. And so I'm sure there's a way to pull it all together in a business that will be vibrant and exciting.
Shane, I want you to put your information, how people can contact you on your biofeedback business. As a former athlete and training at a high level, I'm always looking for the edge. And, people are looking for wellness in our society today. And I want to be very careful when I say this, but I want to be bold to say this. We live in a society today that has sick care instead of health care. And so if you're not taking care of yourself and finding ways to look and feel and perform better at every age, then you're falling behind, because I don't think the government plans to take care of us. So Shane, if you would put that down in, I think it'd be important for people to be able to contact you and find out what you do as well. And thank you for joining us today while you're on vacation.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me to speak today. That's very kind. And thank you everyone for everything you've shared. It's always greatly inspiring.
Awesome. Next week, Candace, I want you to say a few words next week. I know you're working on some things with your business and website, and we've talked a bunch about it. I'm very proud of you as well, and applaud what you're doing. So a lot of great things happening. People come into our net, so to speak, and we love on them and we encourage them and we teach them some principles that we've learned the hard way. And then boom, we watch their business flourish. It's just so rewarding to see. And I want everybody to know how proud we are of you. I want to take a time now just to give you a little bit of a training. Would that be good? Something I think would help you. And it's about goal setting, and goal setting can just really be boring as hang. It can really be boring if you don't make it fun. And so, as I said earlier, building a business or being successful in anything is about making sacrifices, and it's about having direction when you're building something, or you're building a company, or you're building a direct marketing business. It's about direction. I want to remind you, all of us remember Alice in Wonderland. Well, she was walking down the yellow brick road, and she asked the Cheshire Cat, she said, which way should I go from here, please? And the Cheshire Cat looked at her and said, well, it depends on where you want to go. And Alice in Wonderland said, I don't really care much where I go. And then the Cheshire Cat says, well, it doesn't matter which way you go, then just go wherever you want to, right? Because you're never going to really get anywhere because you don't have a destination. And it's just so cool. One of the things I wrote in my book is if we don't know where we want to go, then any road will take us there. But if we know where we want to go, setting goals and drawing a map from where you are to where you want to go is how you get there. And that's what I've been very successful doing in my life, is setting a goal and drawing a map from where I am and where I want to go, and then filling in the blanks from where I am to where I want to go. And so the first thing that I learned as far as goal setting was to self-talk. It's so important what you speak to yourself when you're an entrepreneur, or when you're trying to build something successful, or when you're trying to relate to people, or David, when you're trying to attract the right people. It's so important what you say. Kindness is a WD-40 of business. It really is. It takes just as much effort to say something kind to someone as it does to say something rude to someone. Just remember that. And Jennifer and I have decided in our life, we're going to err on the side of just being kind to people, because goodness knows in our society today, everybody could use a little love and a little kindness. And so the first thing I want to tell you about self-talk is don't speak negatively about yourself. You know, even if you're just joking, oh, well, I'll never be able to do that. Don't say those kind of things, because your body doesn't realize the difference in you telling a joke and not telling a joke. And so when I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is look in the mirror to brush my teeth, I just say, hey, man, you're a winner. God created you special. You're going to win today. You know, I just started off right. And so I'm very careful what I say to myself, because words are energy. And, you know, and bad words can cast the wrong spell. That's why they call it spelling when you spell words. And so you want to make sure that your words are filled with energy to yourself and about yourself, because if you change the way you speak about yourself, you change your life. And, you know, the older I get, the more I realize what my mother told me was true. If you can't say anything good about someone, just refrain from saying anything. Right. And so what you're changing when you're changing your words is also what you're choosing. I want you to remember that. What you're changing by speaking the correct words of it is what you're also choosing. And it's just so important to realize that. The next thing I wanted to tell you is that, you know, you need to set down some written goals. And what I've done over all these years of my businesses is I've had spiritual goals. I put them in categories, 5 categories. I want you to write this down, 5 categories: spiritual goals, physical and personal goals, family goals, work-related goals, and then broader goals toward mankind. Broader goals toward mankind. Did you guys get those? I want to repeat those. Spiritual goals is my first category. Physical and personal goals are my second category. Family is my third category. And you realize work is my fourth? Work is the fourth. Because I don't think if you don't get the first 3 right, you don't get the fourth one right. So work is my fourth category. And then once I've gotten all those right, you know, what can I do to be a blessing to mankind is my huge vision, right? So I'll give you a couple of examples. Would y'all like a couple of examples of what these look like on my sheet? And look, I'm gonna show you my sheet. See my sheet? You can't see with this background, but there it is. And I keep it folded. I keep this sheet folded in my planner that I write notes in. And I review it every Monday morning before I start work, every Monday morning. And so here's, and I have my goals for the week. And so here's my first section called spiritual. I want to put God first in all things. I want to do a devotional every morning and have a prayer list that I pray for daily. And if this offends you, I want to apologize in advance if this offends anybody, because what I've learned is if you're secure in what you believe, then what somebody else believes can never offend you. And so my intention is not to offend; it's always to bless. And then to use my business as a ministry, to be a blessing to people, to be kind to people, to help people, to encourage people, to encourage people along their path. And then the second section of my goals were, and I'm just giving y'all a taste, is physical and personal. And one was to eat a good diet, to eat a fairly clean diet. That doesn't mean I'm perfect. Because as I said a while ago, if we're not taking care of ourselves, then who's going to do it, right? The other thing is to weight train. I like to weight train 3 or 4 times a week, and do some walking or some kind of exercise, walking daily. And and my wife have gotten into juicing a little bit. We like to juice. And then the other personal thing I want to do is I want to read at least 3 books a month, and I want to learn from what other people are doing. And then the other thing I wrote down here was I want to start writing my second book. So you need to put these goals down and written and keep them before you, because I've been lax in that area of writing that second book, you see. And so this reminds me. And then family, Jennifer and I have 8 children and 5 grandchildren. So we want to pray for our children every day. We want to do something special with our children every year. We want to be a godly influence on our children. And I want to do something with my wife special every year, take her somewhere special every year. So that's my family goals. And then my work goals, this is going to surprise you. The number one right out of the chute is listen intently to others. You can learn a lot when you listen to people. You can really find out where they're really coming from. I remember my mom told me, she says, son, she says, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth so you could listen twice as much as you talk. That's so true. When you listen to the heart of other people, you can really learn from those people. And so my number one goal in my work related section is to listen intently to others. And then I put a ... by that, because God might be speaking to me through them. And if I'm talking, I can't hear him. When Tom Chester calls me, I listen. I have a notepad. I listen to what he tells me because I know he has my God's highest and best for me. And so when he calls me, instead of me talking to him, trying to tell him something about what I want to do, I'm listening because he's seen something that's going to make me better. It's cool how this works. I want to build my JL Capital building a business to an international funding company. I want to pray for wisdom in everything that I do, and especially investments and being involved in things. I want to be humble and to learn from others, and I want to teach others what I've learned. That's another bullet point here. And then I want to leave a legacy for my children and future generations of being a man who's done things right and loved his family and created a business that supported his family and been diligent to work and to do those things. And so those are just some bullet points, and there's a lot more detail in it than what I've shared with you. But do you guys kind of get where I'm going with this? It's so important. It's so important. It's so important to learn things and let them come to you. When you get in the right mindset, then you're going to attract what God has for you. In other words, if I put my best foot forward and I am a gentleman, and I'll give you an example. Somebody saw me at a restaurant that I've known a long time, and they saw me pull out the chair for my wife so she could be seated before me. And they told me, gosh, that was refreshing. That was refreshing to see. And so one of the things I decided to do is always date my wife. Isn't it amazing when you first introduced to your spouse and you fall in love and you do all the things right, and then you start getting used to each other. You quit opening the door. You quit pulling out the chair. You quit putting the note under the pillow, all those things. And if you don't quit doing that, it just always stays hot. And so that's what I mean by attracting what it is you want. And so the attractor thing is so important when you're building a business. Somebody asked me, I went to a meeting and I had a shirt on like I'm wearing today and a jacket. and they said, "Gosh, you're always so nicely dressed." And I said, "Well, thank you." I said, "I never want to be overdressed, but I said the fear is to being underdressed at the wrong meeting, you know." And it's just putting that best foot forward. Being well groomed, being well spoken, being kind, being thought of the right way. And I think that is a huge measure of goal setting, in my view. I like to put those things down as goals because I want to wake up and I want to go to work that day. I want to be fit. I want to be energized. I want to be rested. I want to do all those things. I'll give you guys a tip. And Jenner, my wife thinks I'm a nut with this, but I wear a ring, and it looks like a wedding ring. And I have a real wedding ring, but I wear this most of the time as my wedding ring, and it has diodes in it, and it's called Aura, O-U-R-A. And most professional athletes are starting to wear this now because it measures everything. Measures your sleep patterns. It measures if you take a nap during the day. It measures everything. And so I've really been favorably impressed to learn that one of my goals is to get enough sleep at night. Now, back when I was building my transportation company, I thought it was weak if I couldn't work on 4 hours of sleep and be the first one in the office and the last one to leave. Now I realize my body needs 7 hours of sleep, and my mental capacity is so much greater when I'm taking care of myself in that way, when I'm drinking water, when I'm, eating the right foods and taking some protein and that kind of thing. I just seem to operate at a very high level. And, as you heard Hal Culbertson say, he's in his 70s. If you looked at him, you wouldn't know it because he's taken care of himself all these years, and he understands what I'm saying. And so one of the things that I encourage everybody to do is just take a piece of paper and set your goals down, your spiritual goals. What are you doing for yourself spiritually? To your physical goals, what are you doing for yourself physically and personally? In other words, if you're not taking care of yourself, who is? What are you doing for your family? And everybody has a little bit of family. Excuse me, I didn't turn my phone off. Everybody has a little bit of family. My parents are both deceased, but I still have a sister, and I still have family. I still have a wife. I still have children. And so what are your family goals, right? What are your work-related goals? And then what is the big vision? What would you like to do to mankind? One of my things for that is to spend less and give more, to give large amounts of money where I'm led by God to do it, to teach people what God has taught me, to organize a project to really help the poor. See, when I was a young man, I grew up in a poor family. My dad worked in a textile mill, had a 5th grade education. And we had to fight for what we wanted. And that still drives me to this day, still drives me. And so, what is your big vision? What is your big vision? One of the things that I wanted to do when I became successful is to be a blessing to my hometown. And so I started a scholarship fund in my hometown. I put a sizable amount of money in the fund. And then I created a golf tournament where we'd have a golf tournament every year, and the proceeds from the golf tournament went into the fund. Now, we've sent 42 kids to college, 42 from my hometown community, population 3,000. You hear me? It's all about the vision. It's all about setting goals. It's all about having a plan. It's all about drawing a map from where you are to where you want to be, and then executing along the way, and having people in your life who encourage you with that execution, who pat you on the back and tell you can do it, who encourage you in your walk in life, your faith, and all of that. And boom, the blessing. That's how it happens. That's how it happens. And so I wanted to share my heart with you guys on that today. And this felt led to share with you about goal setting. And, if you don't know where you're going, any road will do. But if you know where you're going, you got to take the right road, and you got to draw that map, and you'll get there. You will arrive at your destination. I guarantee you. David, I want you to talk about David Bass, my friend from Alabama. David, you're one of the smartest guys, and you're one of the nicest guys I know. And you're a very astute business guy. And to hear you say that the thing I said on attraction changed you, I want you to elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, thank you for the comments. When anybody tells me that, I say, thank the Lord for anything good about me. I'm just open-minded and trying to learn, and through reading a lot of books, listening to tapes, and just I heard my dad said, birds of a feather flock together. I mean, like in business, you don't go out and like sponsor someone. You attract what you are. You basically are like a magnet. Whatever your feelings are, whatever your thoughts are, whatever you're focusing on the most is what shows up in your life. That makes sense. And again, in our business, we call it Champions U. and we're wanting to attract some of the top leaders right now. We want to look for what we call like founders, leaders that have a big center of influence, that they have a lot of people that know, like, and trust them. So I put my thinking hat on, wrote what goes down. I wrote the names down. I emailed them. I texted them and had them on my mind. And sometimes they just show up when you think about them. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's amazing the way God does that. You can think about them, and they up and call you,
Bring about.
Yeah, you attract it.
Bring about what you think about, right?
That's exactly right. What you speak is so important. I'll tell you, playing baseball, you can have a mediocre team, and you can have one new guy join your team. One new guy signed to a new contract coming on your team changes everything. It's just in one moment, everything can change, right? In business, in one moment, one new account, everything can change. In business, one key player, David, in your business, one person coming into your business like a Hal Culberson, somebody of that stat, that one key person changes everything. And it relates to every business. Bringing in one key operations person in the transportation business who really knows how to talk to the customers changes everything. And so just remember that. And just remember what I said about self-talk. When you get off this phone, start talking some good things about yourself and start telling yourself you can. So many times in my life, there were so many people along the way who told me I couldn't. And you will experience that too. Growing up, I wanted to play professional baseball, and people would say, hey, nobody from our town ever did that. You're not going to do that either. Well, it was amazing when the Dodgers drafted me, all of them started saying, well, we knew you were going to do it. And when you have a map drawn and you know what you want in your life and you know where you're heading and you know the road that you're on, nobody can stop you. Nobody. All you have to do is stay in the game and keep working, and then boom, the blessing. And so when I got out of pro ball and tore my rotator cuff, and that was no longer a possibility for me, I got started in the transportation business. Borrowed $50,000. Listen to this. Guess what people started telling me? Hey man, you're crazy. You're going to lose everything you got. You don't know anything about transportation. Why don't you just get a job? And get a job like us. Just come on and live in the city of ordinary with us. Don't go for your dream. 7 years later, they all wanted to work for my company. You see how it works? When God has called you to go for your dream, let nothing stop you. You keep going. You keep going forward. And you get around somebody who can encourage that dream and help you be successful. And so I'm going to turn this back over to Tom Chesser, who I know has a few words for us today. And he's been a great mentor for me and a great friend for me. And as I said, when he calls me, I have a pad out and I'm ready to take notes and listen. So Tom, finish this call off for us today and have a few words for everybody.
Joe, your show is always amazing. The value of what you're providing, not just on this show, but the Insiders Club for only $19.99 a month. I can't believe that. It's a ridiculous offer that has so much tremendous value, because not only do you get the things that you hear today on the show, but you get a lot more than you ever bargained for, could ever expect or dream of. You truly are a dream maker for so many people around you. And that's what I admire. It's always a privilege talking to you. Call me anytime. I'll call you anytime. We always have great conversations, and each and every one of you are welcome to that opportunity as well with Joseph and myself. You know, what you offer here, Joseph, as a baseball player, one of the things I put in the chat was the thing baseball in a baseball game that's called the sacrificial bunt, you know, where you bunt the ball so somebody else can get on in home. What are you willing to sacrifice to help other people win the game, or win the game of life, win the game of business, win the game of opportunity, to join a team that really is a winning team? And what you have here today is you have a winning team. I mean, you have Tom and you have Terry and you have Dan, and you have so many people on here today that can add so much value to your life. Everything you've heard today is an opportunity for you to learn more, to be more, and to gain more. So please take advantage of the friendship and the relationship, because what I believe Joseph provides us is relationship resources and relationship equity. There's no greater thing than the resource of other people that God has put into your life. And I'm not ashamed to say that at all, because God just keeps opening up door after door after door after door. I was in Vegas. I was in LA. I was in the most highly hotel, the most recognized, among the influential, up on the rooftop with a swimming pool and the cabana. And I'm meeting millionaires and billionaires, and they're inviting me to sit down and talk. And they're wanting to get involved in things that we're doing. So I can't really wait. And I put it in the chat. I can't wait till Joseph, I promised you this, and I'm going to give it to you. We do the Ask Joseph Land show on our TV network. So, you know, that's just one of the things, because what you're finding here is so much value. And I know each and every one of you agree with me. I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm preaching to people that are inspiring, educational, and basically are success themselves in business. Each and every one of you have an innate value to offer somebody else value. You have a value-added proposition. And I enjoy it when you share it on the show. And I enjoy it when Joseph pulls it out of you, you know, and just shines a spotlight, because this isn't really about him. I really want you to understand that it's about all of us. It's about all of us. We are on this thing to create a brand new economy. We're on this thing to add value to the world. And this is really about giving back to humanity. It's really about, you know, it's time to be kind to mankind. It's time to circle the ships and explore the opportunities of a whole new world. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the club. If you haven't joined the club, oh, come on. What are you waiting for? Price of a cup of coffee? What is it holding you back from getting every one of these people's insight and wisdom? And to get on the show costs you nothing. To get into the heart and the lives of these people is well worth any investment they ever ask of you. To be a part of all the things that Tom is doing and Tony is doing, I'm doing, all these people, you know, is an amazing gift. And it's an opportunity that other people would be charging you. Let me tell you right now what other people will be charging you. Other people out there are charging $25,000 to $50,000, up to $100K, okay, to get where you are today. Is that the price that you want to pay? Or would you rather pay to play with the people that can get you there, that love you, care about you, have your back, will never, ever disappoint, and they will inspire you to move forward in life? So you choose who you want to put yourself around, and they will put themselves around you. That's all I've got to say for me. This is Tom Chesser.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. And guys, I want you to stay on here. I'm going to end this recording, but I want you to stay on and do a couple of housekeeping things. We're going to send out a link. Doris is going to send out a link. It'll be on our Facebook page about next week's show. I'm going to have an amazing entrepreneur that I've mentored, who's taken their business from nothing to very successful. And so I appreciate you guys being with me. And thank you for joining our show today. And this concludes our show. For those of you who are on, stay on for just a minute. I'll stop the recording now.